Hi guys, good morning. I hope all is well, or it could be good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and wherever you are listening or watching this now. As I promised, we do have a makeup class to do here to cover for what we didn't cover in the last class. So I'm going to do like 3 or maybe 4 items. I just want to show you one more time how to insert data into the Firebase database, how to update that data. Number 3, how do you display the data? And finally, how do you delete data from a Firebase database? So very quickly, we begin with how to insert data in the database. First of all, you may recall our Firebase database, how it looks like. So this is a sample that I've created for the demo that I'll be doing over here. So it has a few names, including the name of Musumba, if you don't mind. And so I want to show you how to add one more data entry here. There are currently 4. Yeah, there are currently 4. So we'll be adding one more to make them 5. And the way to do that is, of course, to rely on our interface here. You recall the interface we had. So the thing is, you want a click event for this event to push data into that database. Another one to display or load data onto this interface when you click this. And then this other one here is meant to update or make changes to the existing data. And then finally, this one disproportionately placed, but you know, it's supposed to help us delete some data. So here we go. Like we did last time, if you are supposed to insert data into the database, it's important to pick that data from some source. In this case, we are picking it from the user interface. And yes, that source can be anywhere else. And then, of course, you need a variable to hold the database instance. In our case, it's called the root node, and another one to hold the reference, which in our case is called the reference indeed. So take note, our reference or the name of our data reference is users. Okay. So below users, we have all these entries or specific data values that have been entered there, led by or controlled through their ID. Okay, so we have an ID attribute there. All right, so very simple. We said it's a good idea to create a helper class. Here it is with the constructors, parameterized and then unparameterized, and then the getter as well as the setter methods. Remember what we were doing with them. So all you need to do is to create an instance of that helper class. Okay, there's an object that you go to create out of that, and through that object, you now are able to manipulate the values, right? So with those values, we can populate the database, and you do that through the set value method, set value. So when you say reference dot child, yeah, the dot child brings you here. It brings you right there. So as you can see, we've passed a user ID, which is one of the items that we've captured. The role of this user ID or indeed any other ID, depending on how your database looks like, is to help in navigating from one ID to the other. So it's going to set focus on the ID that you provide. Okay, so right now we have 4 different IDs. So let's say we want to add ID 7700. So that is going to be added through this child method. That's why we are passing it there. And then the rest of the attributes will be loaded as well, I mean, with their values. So very quickly, let's see. Let's add one more value there through our basic interface. I'm running it on my phone, so you may not be able to see it on your computer screen. But I do have an ID 7700, and then I'm going to provide a name here. Yes. Okay. So I say save, and right there it has been saved. So we should be able to see one more entry here, 7700. The name is Brenda Joseph, ID 7700. So very briefly, that's how you feed value. So what I've done, you've not been able to see the interface, but I have entered the ID here. Okay, right here, the first name here, the last name over here, and I've clicked save, and it has been pushed right into the database. And so with the toast there, you can always do a toast message just to be sure that the operation has been done. Yeah. So don't forget, the set value method is the one that basically provides these values and pushes them into the database in this case. Okay, leaving that alone, we can also update. Okay, for example, the value, the data item with ID 7700, maybe we want to update it. Instead of these names, Brenda Joseph, we want to provide a different name. Brenda, who now? Brenda Philippe. Okay, let's assume there's a name called Philippe. Okay, we already have Philippe here, but we can have Brenda Otieno, for example. So we want to change this name here from Joseph to Otieno. And what we have is a click event on this button, which is right here. They're already written, so I'm just going to take you there, get data. So here is the thing. I can comment this for a moment. Yes. This is what you need to do. You understand the role of the reference. We can also comment that, right? So we have the instance and we have the reference, and then we've got to somehow set our focus on the specific child attribute that we want to affect. And I think it's going to be L name. So take note, we move from here, the instance, and then we go to here, the reference, and then we within the reference now we go to a specific attribute name, which in our case is L name. So you can see LNAME right here. I must emphasize that you've got to observe the capitation or the casing of the letter of the attribute name. Sorry. So if it is LNAME with small letters, you keep it that way, because this one here is what is going to be matched on this. Okay. So we said it's going to be brand Otieno, so it's Otieno that we need to change here, right? So we just do Otieno, and really, that's it. Come down that, and let's see what's happening here. So we expect, instead of Joseph, we expect to see Otieno right here. Hopefully it doesn't take so long. So this is ID. And so, by the way, to do that, I am providing an ID here, okay? The ID whose update I want to make. So on my phone, I'm typing the ID that I want to make changes to here, and then I click update. So that's what I'm doing right now on my phone. So it is 7700, and I click update, okay? So here we go. It is no longer Brenda Joseph, it is now Brenda Otieno. Now, how about if you want to change this whole thing, or at least more than one attribute value? You want to change both Brenda and Otieno, or probably you want to change or adjust or update Brenda, the ID, as well as Otieno. What do you do? In such a case, this will not be of much help to ARMS because it is referring only to one specific attribute. If you want to deal with more than one attribute, we've got to organize the data in a collection. A collection would be an array list, a hash map like I'm doing here, okay? They could be in a file, or whichever way that you could store the values before you send them to the database for update. So I do have my hash map, that's how it's declared, and then you first store the values in it. So we do have the user ID, so the person we want to affect is called Brenda. So I'm going to propose here just Brenda 2 for Brenda 3 and Otieno 3, just to demonstrate. So it's just going to be Brenda 3, Otieno 3. Really. And that's pretty much what you need to do. And then you can now use the set value method, and you pass the collection of values. You can see the name of our hash map, okay, is the one passed over here. So when you are dealing with a set of values, then you don't need to narrow down to a specific one like we did here. Okay, you can see this one is missing here. Why? Because we now are dealing with the entire set as opposed to a specific attribute. And so that's what you need to do. We can run that. And let's see what we can get out of it. So this is where we are. We expect Brenda 3 and Otieno 3. So I'm going to provide the ID to be updated, that is 7700, and then I'm going to click update. And there we go. So it's Brenda 3, Otieno 3. Of course, you can also update the ID. And if you were to do this, maybe for more than one reference, then you'd have to look through maybe the for loop or something to help you to update them as they come. So that's that. Again, we have a toast message there to just confirm to us that all is well. Then what if I want to delete this value? Very simple. Can we delete this entry here, 7700? Very, very straightforward. In this case, you only need this method. Yeah, remove value. That's the job for you. And you simply specify the ID that you are interested in removing, and it will be done. So maybe we just run that again and get rid of ID 7700. I'm just going to feed it over there, then 700, and I'm going to click delete. Yeah. So we expect 7700 to disappear. It's no longer there because it's been deleted. So the delete button is up here, sorry, not proportionately placed with the rest, but that was its job. Finally, I want us to load or show the data from the database on this interface. So we expect the ID to be here, and the first name to be here, and the last name to be here. These are the details. I'm not sure you are able to see the hint there, but it's basically prompting you to enter the ID to search, okay, or the ID to update or something. But these ones here, other than using them for providing the values to feed into the database, I'm also using them here to load the values from the database for view, okay? So I'm going to do precisely that, but if I do that, maybe I take you through the code that does that. So I'm going to say view. Okay. So the way it is done, obviously, we understand the role of the reference, but then here you need what is called an add value event listener. Add value event listener is a method that is able or helps us to look through data items within a database. Okay, and so there are two possibilities on data change. In other words, if it successfully moves from one data item to the other, then you can display the data. That's what we are doing here. I'm going to explain it in a moment. If that is not possible, maybe the key you provided cannot be found or something, or there's an error emanating from within the system, then usually you address that error on the alternative method here. Okay, it's called on cancel. So there are two important methods here that you naturally use when you're using the add value event listener. Either it's a successful focus set and we found what we want and we can get it displayed, or for whatever reason it is not a successful and you need to address or communicate with the user appropriately. And so here, upon successful focus onto a given reference attribute, you usually get what is called a snapshot. A snapshot is like getting hold of a particular set of values. Like now, if you find this, let's say it is going through and this is what we are looking for, then it puts a focus on all these attributes and their values, like the focus, the concentration, the pointer is now here, okay, ready to retrieve the values. So that's what we are doing here. Okay, so go through and locate a child whose ID is the same as the ID that has been captured up here. I don't know whether you can see here. There's an ID that we are capturing through the widget. Okay, so that's the ID that is taking us to the specific reference attribute that we are looking for. So from the instance, we go to the reference, and then from the reference, we can identify the attribute. So it is like, one more time, you're from here, and you go here, and then you narrow down to a given ID. So that given ID is this. Okay. So what we are saying is, take that ID, yeah, take this ID here, the one that we found, and temporarily store it in a variable. Okay, and then take the ones that follow it and store them in temporary variables. Right, and then load them onto the interface. Load. So the loading, you know how it happens. You use the dot tech and then you pass. So just click the data snapshot dot child. That gets that ID, sorry, that attribute value, and here we are storing them in some temporary variables. And then once we do that, then we can report successful loading. So yes, so we are going to load which one? I think we can load maybe 8900, 8900, can load that. And one more time, I'm providing the ID here, whose details I want uploaded, or rather loaded onto the interface, and then I should be able to see them here. So maybe I need, for this, I need to share, I need to activate my camera for a moment, and then just be sure you are able to see something. So here we go. So what I want to do is to provide that ID 8900. There it is. Then I'm going to click, I'm going to press show. Press show. And then I expect the corresponding values to have been loaded onto that particular interface. So it is the ID, and then it is the first name, and then it is the last name. So this is coming from, I believe, it's coming from where? Yes, it is coming from here. This is the one we are uploading. So that's how this is, and I hope you guys are now fine with it. What I want to do is to pass these codes to your, to Blackboard. I'm going to be putting them on week 6, and follow them up, make sure they're working for you, and that should be it for now. So thank you for listening, and have a good time. See you.